Good afternoon, everybody. It is Mike, the Bowtie Writer. Happy Tuesday, or maybe Wednesday. Either way, hello. I hope that you all are having a wonderful week. And everybody, I got a problem. I got a problem with craft books. Let's be clear, I love craft books. But there is one thing that does kind of bother me, and it's usually something in the framing of craft books. Here's how it goes. There is precisely one method with which you shall write a book, and if you do not follow this 9-step process precisely in order, then your book will fail. Or the book will do something like this. What? No, man, it's cool. You write a book however you want to write a book. You follow your groove. No one can teach you. So here's what I do, but you do what you want, bro. So it bothers me so much that craft books fall into one of these two extremes, especially because in reality, it doesn't have to be that way. There is a way to build your own writing process that will make you successful. There are practices, there are procedures, there are steps that you can follow that will help you build your own process. And I learned this from computer programmers. Let's talk. What I learned from these computer programmers is what is called Scrum, or Agile Development. Now, I'm not going to go into exactly how it's used in computer programming. It's super useful there, but one of the most important things that I was taught about this process was that there is a way to systematically go through and take incremental steps to try and iterate on your product. And there's a method to this madness. And so this was something that as I'm sitting here listening to these programmers, I'm realizing that what they're describing are answers to problems I was having as a writer. And it just blew my mind. So this whole process is an iterative process. What I'm about to describe is a process that I go through, and from start to finish, each round of this process takes me 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, I am going through this entire cycle. Let's break down all the steps. Step 0, focus on my face. Step 0 is articulation. And the whole point of step 0 is to try and give you the vocabulary to better describe the problems that you're encountering. When it comes to writing, the point of step 0 is to constantly work on your craft. Read craft books, write a lot. Do as much work as you can. Read blogs, watch videos, watch vlogs, take writing courses, take critique groups. Get exposed to as much of the language of writing as you can. And the reason for this is because it will allow you to articulate more about the process. This is a huge reason I find craft books are so useful. That's also why I'm doing this video, is because I want you to have the tools to articulate your process, and that there is a method to this process. I want you to have that language. After step 0, it is time for step 1. The purpose of this step is to sit down and explicitly write out what is it you are trying to achieve or accomplish in the next 2 weeks. This is incidentally why 2-week cycles are actually super important. It gives you enough time to try different things, but it also is a short enough window that you can be very focused in what you're trying to achieve. I will say, as a general rule of thumb for your goals, you want them to be as specific as possible. When it comes time to try and make your writing process, some simple goals that I might use would be, I will write 10 hours in the next 14 days. I will write 500 words a day every single day for the next 2 weeks. I will complete a draft of that short story that I want to submit by the 15th. The whole point of these goals, remember, is to give you a target. They are trying to give you something to aim for over the next 2 weeks that you are trying to work towards. Okay, so you got your goal, you got it written down on a piece of paper in front of you. Is it very specific? Is it something that you can measure? If it is, that's great. Let's go on to the next step, step 2. experiment. The experimentation step is actually a really important and useful step. This is where you say, what is one specific thing that you are going to try over the next 2 weeks to try and achieve that goal? This is also where articulation is incredibly important, because if you haven't been doing your reading about the process, then you're not going to have the language to see what sort of gears and levers you could change. For example, you might try changing up where you work. Maybe you want to try writing at the local coffee shop or at the library instead of at your office. You might try changing when you write. Maybe you want to see if you write better with headphones than without. There are a lot of variables that you could constantly change or tweak, but that's where I will also urge you some caution. Try only changing one thing. I know if you're gung-ho and you're psyched about a project, you cannot wait to get in and try to completely change your life and be a 5 a.m. writer, writing every single day in that latest software, using the coolest new techniques all the time. Slow. Change only one thing. Make only one thing part of your experiment at a time. Once you do this, it is time for the next 2 steps. I'm going to cover these 2 together. Oh God, there's dust. Oh, so much dust. Oh. I should have worn my goggles. So the next 2 steps of this process basically go hand in hand. They are execute. You've got your plan, you've got the thing that you're going to experiment with, you've got your goal that you're going to try to achieve. Now, do the thing. Just do it. One thing that a lot of people overlook, though, is a lot of people do not actually track how they do. For me, I track how much time I have my butt in the chair every single day. Whatever metric works for you, find something that you can measure and something that you can track. You cannot trust your brain to give you an accurate and measurable memory of what transpired over 2 weeks. Your brain does not work that way. Once you're executing and you're tracking, you go through those entire 2 weeks, through that entire time period, and then you're ready for the next step. Okay, this next step is the most important step. The most important step. And it boggles my mind that I see nobody reference it at all. It's not mentioned in any craft books I've ever seen, and honestly, that's a big reason why I wanted to make this video. So the next step is review. A ground rule of this step is that the data that you are looking at is judgment-free. It is just data. It's really easy to get caught up in feel-bads if you didn't meet your goal. Like, that can be really, really frustrating. But that's okay, don't worry about that. This is just data. And when you actually sit down to review, like I literally would sit down every other Sunday in the afternoon for like 30 minutes with a sheet of paper, and I would answer the following questions. Number 1, did I actually meet my goal? You set a target. Did you actually meet the target or not? Second of all, what really worked? Like, what was really successful for you over the last 2 weeks that you were trying it? Similarly, what didn't work for you? What was not successful? Look back at your experiment. What's the one thing that you tried over the last 2 weeks? How'd it go? How did that specific thing that you were testing go? Was it good? Was it bad? The other thing that you need to take some time to do, and this takes a fair amount of self-awareness, is you need to spend a little bit of time trying to figure out why something worked or something didn't work. You're not trying to beat yourself up. You're trying to figure out, why did something go sideways? Why did that experiment not succeed, or why did it really work out? Another thing that you can look at during the review is part of this sort of meta process. How were your goals? Was your goal too vague or not measurable enough? Was it too easy, or was it really too hard? Are your metrics actually working for you, or are they not very useful? These are the kinds of things that you're going to be looking at to set up for your next pass through the process. And in general, if something's working, keep doing it. If something's not working for you, start trying to think of ways that you can experiment to do something different that will be better. Once you've done this review, you're ready to start the process again at the very beginning by starting to set your next goal. People have been doing this by trial and error forever, as long as people have been writing. People do stumble upon their own process. But for me, when I started hearing this language about iterative process development, it helped me really articulate some of the things in writing advice in just a very different way. For example, some writing advice is that you must fail a lot. And I mean, yeah, that's technically true. That's very true. But really, what that advice is actually saying, it's saying that you need to iterate a lot. You need to experiment with a lot of different things to build your process. Another common writing adage is that every book is different. And really, that's just saying that everyone is constantly iterating and refining their process, and so their process will look different by the time you get to another book. I hope that this is helpful for you. Like I said, I could be a geek about this for a very long time. Like, if you want to see what a review looks like, I have an actual form that I use for review. Like, let me know down below in the comments. We can connect and I can send it to you. That's not a big deal. If you want to talk about how to set goals, oh my gosh, I can talk about setting goals for hours. I am a huge process junkie because processes are not mysterious. This is how you can systematically iterate and discover what works for you. And that's really empowering, because you can write a book and you can kind of flail through it, and that's okay. But when you have a good process, you can write lots of books. All right. Anyways, I'm done babbling now, I promise. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. Be kind to yourselves. I hope the rest of your week is lovely. That's all I have for this week. If you liked what you saw, please feel free to like, share, subscribe. If you've got any questions, hit me up down below. I could talk about this for literally hours. Gentle people out there, I hope the rest of your week is fantastic. Take care of yourselves.